Okay, let's jump right in. We're talking about a mineral that is, well, it's kind of an unsung hero of our health. It's often called magnificent, and for good reason. So, what makes it so powerful? In this explainer, we're going to unpack exactly why this thing is an absolute cornerstone of your well being. So, let me ask you, does any of this sound familiar? You're feeling constantly tired, maybe a little stressed out, or you're just not getting that deep, quality sleep you really need? Well, what if I told you the answer might be way simpler than you think? And it could all come down to a deficiency in one single crucial mineral.
Okay, so just how important is it really? Get this, 300. And that's not just a random number. That is the number of critical biochemical reactions in your body that absolutely depend on magnesium to even happen. We're talking about a foundational piece of our biological machinery here.
All right, so that brings us right into our first section, the magnificent mineral. And we're going to explore exactly why this simple element is a true pillar of your health. I mean, it's involved in everything from your DNA to the actual rhythm of your heart. It's that important. I mean, the sheer diversity of what this one mineral does is just staggering. Think about it. It's vital for muscle and nerve function. We're talking about how your body literally sends signals. It helps regulate your heartbeat, build strong bones, and even helps put together your DNA. And as if that wasn't enough, it's also a precursor to something called glutathione, which is your body's master antioxidant. So yeah, it's working at pretty much every level of your biology. Okay, so if this stuff is so incredibly important, are we getting enough of it? And that, right there, is the big problem. It turns out there's a silent deficiency affecting millions and millions of people. And when I say massive, I mean it. The scale of this problem is huge. Just look at the data. At least half the population, half, has an inadequate intake of magnesium. That means there's a really good chance you or someone you know is running low. So you're probably thinking, okay, why don't I just get a blood test? And that's a great question, but here's the catch. A standard blood test is actually not a very good indicator of your body's real magnesium levels. Why? Because less than 1% of your body's magnesium is actually floating around in your blood. The other 99% is stored in your bones, your tissues, your muscles. So that blood test, it's like looking at the tip of an iceberg. It just doesn't give you the full picture. And on top of that, some of us are at an even higher risk of running low. You've got health conditions like diabetes or GI diseases that mess with absorption, sure. And then there are certain common medications. But here's what might surprise you. It's the everyday lifestyle stuff. Things like chronic stress, who doesn't have that, regular exercise, and even your daily cup of coffee. All of these can literally drain your body's magnesium stores. Now, at this point, you might be thinking, okay, I'll just run out and grab any bottle of magnesium off the shelf. But hold on, it is not that simple. In fact, the single most important factor, the thing that makes all the difference, is the form of magnesium you choose.
And this is where we need to draw a really clear line in the sand. On one side, you have these common, cheap forms like magnesium oxide and citrate. Here's the deal with those. They are very poorly absorbed. Their main effect, they're basically a laxative, which is probably not what you're looking for if you're trying to actually raise your body's magnesium levels. But then, on the other side, you have forms like magnesium glycinate and gluconate. These are designed for high absorption, meaning they actually get into your system and deliver those real body-wide benefits we've been talking about.
So let's break that down. What exactly is magnesium glycinate? Well, it's what's called a chelated form. All that means is the magnesium molecule is basically holding hands with an amino acid called glycine. And this clever pairing is the secret sauce. It's what makes it so effective because it dramatically improves how well your body can absorb it, and it's super gentle on your stomach. So you avoid, those unwanted side effects. Okay, so we know why it's important and which kind to look for. Now let's get to the really practical stuff. A smart supplement strategy. How do you actually take all this info and make it work for you? It's actually a pretty simple 3-step approach. Step 1, choose a high absorption form. We've talked about this. Something like glycinate is the way to go. Step 2, experiment with your timing. This isn't one size fits all. You can tweak it to match your own goals, whether that's better sleep or less stress. And step 3, and this is a really important tip, take it separately from other minerals, especially zinc. They can kind of compete for absorption, so you want to give magnesium its own space to work. And let's talk a little more about that timing piece, because you can really tailor it to what you need. If your main goal is better sleep, try taking your full dose about an hour before you hit the hay. It really helps relax the mind and body. But if you're looking for more all-day stress support, you can split the dose. Maybe take one capsule around midday and then the other one before bed. It's totally flexible. And, a common question is this going to be expensive? Well, just for context, the specific product mentioned in our source material costs its members just under $9 for a whole month's supply. When you think about all the foundational benefits you're getting, that's pretty incredible value. Okay, this brings us to our final and maybe most important section, a foundation for health. Because the key thing to really get here is that magnesium isn't just some quick fix for a symptom. It's a long-term investment in your foundational health. Think about it like this. A deficiency doesn't just show up overnight. It's a problem that compounds. It snowballs over time. In the short term, yeah, maybe you just notice some muscle cramps or you're not sleeping so well. But if you let that go, long term, that deficiency can contribute to much more serious issues. We're talking impaired nerve function, weaker bones, and even trouble regulating your heart rhythm. So, what's the bottom line? It all comes down to consistency. It is so much better to be proactive and get ahead of the problem before it even starts. And this is especially true for groups who are really at risk, like young athletes. They're pushing their bodies to the limit, but often nobody tells them how absolutely essential this one mineral is for both their performance today and their health for years to come. So we'll leave you with one final thought to chew on. Just think about it. What if one of the simplest, most basic minerals out there is the real key to that complex, nagging health issue you've been trying to solve?